A lot of my patterns are knitting around using 2 pair of circular needles. So I've had a lot of people ask how to knit in the round using 2 pair circular needles. So I've recorded this lesson on how to do this. You start, of course, with 2 pair of circular needles. You can use any cable length. Of course, if you have more stitches, you will need a longer cable, but most things can be knit with any length cable. To start, you're going to use 1 needle and you're going to cast on just like you normally do. So we'll start by making a slip knot, and for the purposes of this video, we're going to cast on 14 stitches. We're just going to speed it up here to save time. Okay, we're done casting on, and at this point we're going to make sure we got all of our stitches, but we're still on 1 needle. So this is where the second needle comes into use. So what we're going to do now is we're going to slide half the stitches onto the second needle. You're going to slip them as if to purl. I like to keep half my stitches on the front needles and half my stitches on the back needle, but some patterns will tell you to do different. Now what you're going to need to do is grab those stitches and slip them to the other ends of the needles. You just grab the tips and tug and pull your yarn down to the other end. You are going to want to make sure your working yarn is on the back needle or coming from the back needle. You're going to start knitting by knitting across the front needle. So what you want to do is make sure you grab the end of the front needle and knit with it across the front stitches. Now you're going to line up the back and the front needles, and you're going to knit into that first stitch on the front needle. It's a little fiddly at first, but it's just the first stitch. Once I have that first stitch done, I can pull my yarns tight and knit the next one, and my stitches are a lot more secure. At this point, now you can take that back needle and pull it through all of its stitches and just let it hang at the back. It'll act like a stitch holder, and it'll just be hanging there out of your way. Now we want to go ahead and finish knitting all the stitches on the front needles. We'll go ahead and speed this up. When you reach the last stitch on the front, you're going to go ahead and knit it. You'll see what you do is you grab the front needle and slide those stitches onto the cable. Then you're going to turn your work around. Now you'll see that your working yarn is in the back, and at this point you're going to slide those stitches onto the back needles. Now you're going to grab the end of the back needle, make sure you've got that back needle, and you're going to start knitting across the back stitches. We'll go ahead and speed this up. Now you're reaching the end of the stitches on the back needles. So you're going to knit that last one and go ahead and pull that needle forward the back stitches and just slide the stitches onto the cable. You're going to turn your work around, and now you'll start knitting across the front again. So at this point you slide your needle back, and let's go through it one more time. So you're going to make sure you grab the end of your front needle and just start knitting. Then when you reach that last stitch, you're going to grab that needle, pull the stitches onto the cable. Then you're going to turn your work around. And you're going to slide the stitches onto your needle. You're going to grab the end of the needle. Make sure you've got the right end. And you're going to start knitting. Then when you reach that last stitch, you're going to grab that needle again and pull it onto the cable. So now you see, this is what it looks like. You're going to see that it's on 2 pair of needles and that it's knit completely in the round with no seams. Using this method, you can knit big things and little things with no seams and completely in the round. Go check out my patterns on Ravelry.com and see what you can make knitting in the round with 2 pair of circular needles.